Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. This is GamerGenusTV with me, Ildris, bringing you a special treat. Because on the other end of the line, I have a very special guest, the one and the only Archon. How you doing, sir?
Outstanding.
Fantastic to hear. I did actually see you on the ladder not too long ago when I logged in, and I hear through the grapevine you have a little treat for us today, perhaps a game that you may have played.
As a matter of fact, I do. I was playing a lot of games today, and I think I actually found one that would be interesting to watch. So,
Sweet deal. I knew about this beforehand, a little bit of deceit there, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you don't mind. But we have the game ready and loaded, so we're going to go ahead and hop right into it by clicking this button right here. Alright, sweet. And so we have right here on Newkirk a ZvP featuring GHS's Shadow as the blue Protoss. And over in the bottom right corner we have Archon, the red Zerg. So I'm going to go ahead and start the game up. And if you would, sir, please just kind of carry us through the game. I'd love to hear, your thought process behind what goes on.
Well, first of all, I looked it up after the game, and GHS actually stands for Gingers Have Souls, which, since we know that's a lie, I can already not trust anything that this guy's going to be doing.
Clearly, since he's calling Zerg OP already.
Actually, when he said that, my first thought is he's going to cheese me. I was expecting a cannon rush or a proxy 2 gate or something like that immediately.
And why wouldn't you?
Yeah, there's a lot that you can actually read from what people say or don't say at the start of the game and how they say it. So I thought that he might, but
so apparently gingers may not have souls, but they have at least a shred of honor in them.
At least a little.
That's good to know. So we have the old ZvP on Newkirk, which I think is one of the best maps in my opinion, and one of the most exciting, if not the most exciting matchups. And it looks like the Protoss is just kind of opening fairly standard. It looks like the pylon's gone down on the low ground for the Forge Fast expand. And what were you kind of thinking as you're going through the start of this game?
Well, I hadn't gotten my scout off on him yet, so I'm still thinking. I'm expecting to get to his base and see a forge right next to his nexus. That's actually what I'm expecting. So I go ahead and I drop my standard 14 pool, but I'm still going to go ahead and try and expand. You can actually see I moved my Overlord over my natural because I'm waiting for him to try and cannon it. But then I get into his base, I see the pylon on the low ground, and I'm like, all right, well, I'm probably safe at this point.
Very good.
So I'm go ahead and I'm expanding. I send 2 drones to kind of chase this guy away. And I check his gases. And I already had kind of a build in mind, assuming that he wasn't going to rush me. And since he wasn't doing that, I was already planning on something. I see that he goes Nexus first. So my options at this point are I can expand to take a fast third, or I can do some kind of early roach pressure. But I suck at doing early roach pressure and lose 90% of the games I try it, so I'm going to actually take a quick third.
That sounds like a good plan. That's typically what I do as well. I don't do so hot at the early pressure myself.
It's a lot harder now that they have the mothership core. If they see it coming, I mean, it was already difficult if they see it.
Yeah.
Especially now that they see like the mothership core, or they have the mothership core, and it's just easier for them to be like, photon overcharge. So
yeah, it's not fun dealing with that at all. And it lasts what, 60 seconds?
Longer than I would like for it to. That's how long it lasts.
No kidding.
So, yeah, you can see I go ahead and I delay like an early queen to go ahead and get this hatchery down, and then I go ahead and start my queen production after that. Because honestly, if you're saving up for a hatchery, you can't use all the larvae anyway, so it's not that big of a deal.
Right. And you see, you've caught this probe out trying to do some sneaky business already.
Yeah, this guy's the sneakiest probes that have ever been. They're all ninjas. Um, he sends out a lot of them too. So I've got this one over here, and I've decided to go ahead and send this other one back to watch the front while this one chases. He's
Very
wanting to see
nice.
if I've got a third down to make sure I'm not doing some kind of two base pressure, which I'm not. I don't really care if he sees it or not. But
Right.
and then I see this probe, and I start chasing him too, and you can actually see that he's sending out a third probe, which is about two more than most Protoss send out. So, and if I was paying attention, I could have caught it right there. I do actually see it with the Zelnaga tower, though, and end up chasing it.
Nice.
So yeah, I've got my two queens, doing some larva injects. I'm getting a third queen, and soon I'll actually be picking up a fourth as well, just so
Very
I can
good.
do some creep spread and I can do some larva injects. All that good stuff. And I'm trying to find this probe over here, but I suck at this game. And so I'm just going to run a circle around him and never actually see this probe and think that he just ninja vanished.
And you see there's just this little tiny area right here he's hiding in.
I know, like, they could almost just wave at each other, but... And now there goes the proxy pylon, and I miss... And then I run right where he was again because it was the worst. It was the worst. I'm dropping a Roach Warren, and I don't know why. Honestly, I don't. I had no plan to use roaches this game. I think it was just reflex because I'm so used to the ZvP Roach Hydra. But
Yeah.
I'm actually planning to go Roach Zergling this game, which would work better if I had a third guy in that gas geyser, which I do fix eventually. But so I'm
Someday.
going. Yeah, I'll do it eventually. I'm fairly certain. But I'm going up. I'm going up to layer. I'm taking a fast layer, and then with my first like 100 gas, and then with my there it goes. I get my third guy in there, and then with my next 100, I'm going and getting Zergling speed.
Okay. So, was there a particular reason to go lair before speed?
Because I want to get my hydras out a little bit faster, and I don't. It would be nice to have speed to protect all the bases, but I know he's not doing any real pressure anytime soon. I mean, obviously he's got these zealots running in here, but it's like 4 zealots. It's not gonna win him the game. It's gonna kill a queen. It's gonna chase away some drones, kill some zerglings. He's not gonna outright win. So
It's mainly just annoying.
yeah, he's just being a bit of an ass with those is what he's doing. So
Pretty much. That's what I'm seeing anyway.
yeah. So I'm gonna get these, and now I know that I missed. I mean, I was fairly certain I'd missed the pylon before, like 85% certain, but now I'm 100%, and I see this one, and I'm going on for it. And then he warps in more, like 4 more, and goes and sends them in. And I'm dropping a spine, but it's
It seems
a
a
bit out of
little too
position.
late for now.
Yeah, like there's no way. Like if he's paying attention, that spine's not going up. I don't have the Zerglings to stop it. Well, actually, I do. They're just not moving because I realized that he had.
All that APM and no toothbrush. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. We're encountering issues. We are encountering issues, ladies and gentlemen. The internet is not cooperating. Hopefully it'll come back very shortly. Because if not, damn. Damn?
Did
Hello?
I lose you?
Okay. Yeah, we're still here. Sorry about that, ladies and gents. The internet decided to be uncooperative there for a moment. We are back in the game, however, and there are Zerglings murdering all kind of things right now.
Yeah. Zerglings murdering things. I've got my Hydra den going down. I really should have a macro hatchery, but my macros slipped pretty hard this game. I didn't make as many drones as I should have, or I didn't remake the ones that I lost
Right.
specifically. And I'm saving up my gas for Hydras and their upgrades, but I could go ahead and get like +1/+1. It would not be that big of a deal, especially because you can see he's almost got +1 finished. It would be nice to have at least +1 carapace, but
Right.
I actually got a scout off on his base. During that whole fight, my Overlord literally flew over his entire base. The only damage it took was from this photon cannon. So I see that he's got a robo. I see that he's got a bunch of gateways. So I'm expecting the Colossus tech, which is pretty standard. since I know he's not going like Sky Toss or something. I haven't seen any Stargates, but and now I actually see the Colossus out, which I was a little surprised. I thought I had a little bit longer, I guess, because he was doing that early aggression.
Right.
But I mean,
they come out quick, man.
Yeah, I know that. I mean, he only had the one, and I figured that if he had, it would only be one, and then he gets a second one out as I'm doing that. But I knew he had like, I saw the second one, so I know he's got like 2. There's no way he can have 3 at this point because he did all that early stuff.
Colossus are good units, no doubt.
Yeah, they're really good against everything that I have, and that kind of sucks. But I'm planning for this. It was okay because this was actually part of my game plan. Is I was going to go Hydra Ling, and then I was going to get Swarm Hosts.
Oh, yeah.
So you see, I've dropped my Infestation Pit. I get it at the same time I'm getting +1/+1, and I mean, he's got this third base, and I knew I wasn't going to be able to crack it because it's in a good position. He's got it's a wide choke, but he has a Colossus, and a Mothership Core. So
Yep.
I'm going to kind of poke in, see what he's doing, see his Colossus count, make sure he doesn't have he hasn't somehow managed to get 3 or 4. He's going a lot of Zealots because I'm going Ling Hydra heavy, so that's fairly straightforward. In a second, I should have. Yeah, I've got my Hydras coming. I should have some Swarm Hosts coming in the near future, which is what I really need is to crack this base. Because I made it, I'm not doing roaches, so I'm not going to be able to just run in there. Unless, I mean, I could spawn a bunch of roaches, I guess, but that's not really what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to work on this Hydra Ling style because I really like the way it plays. And Hydralisks have always been my favorite unit. They were my favorite unit in StarCraft 1, and they were my favorite unit in Wings of Liberty, which sucked because I never got to use them in Wings of Liberty. But they're always my favorite unit. So now that I get to use them, that's like what I want to do.
Hell yeah. They're awesome. They do so much DPS.
Yeah, it's actually stupid how much damage they do if they're just left alone.
That's true. And they actually have, decent speed. Now, I think they're actually faster than Stalkers when they're on creep, with the speed upgrade.
Well, I think the speed upgrade only affects them off of creep anyway.
You know what? You're right.
I think Stalkers are a little bit faster, but it's like 0.1 or less.
So they're fast enough and they do enough damage to just murder everything, all the things.
Yeah, they're kind of good. They're kind of good. As long as you don't get in a bad position with them. They're really about positioning, which I'm completely okay with because I love doing positioning fights. And that's, luckily for me, that's how this game ended up playing out. That's what Swarm Hosts allow you to do, is kind of dictate the positioning of a fight. And they also let you go toe-to-toe with a Protoss on an even basis, which is really cool. If you do it right, if you learn how to use them. So I recommend everyone learn how to use them. Unless you don't play Zerg, I mean, it's probably not going to help you out.
Well, if they don't play Zerg, they should probably switch anyway, so.
Well, yeah. No, actually don't do that because I'm getting a lot of Zerg versus Zerg matchups, and I'm getting kind of tired of it. So don't actually do that. But
yeah, we're not going to go on ZvZ right now. The state of ZvZ these days.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about these Locusts instead.
Yeah, Locusts are also kind of good. They're little mini Hydralisks, so I'm a big fan of them. They attack at the same speed. They deal the same amount of damage. They only have, 15 less life?
Yeah.
So, and I think their movement speed, I mean, they're fairly slow, but it's not that big of a deal because they're free units. So, for a free unit, they're kind of good. They just only have range 2 instead of 6. So, what I'm doing now is I'm trying to just do any damage that I can. You see, I took out a couple of cannons. I took out a couple of Zealots, maybe a Stalker, I don't actually know. But I burned energy on his Mothership Core. And all this is for free. This cost me absolutely nothing. I just have to make sure to watch my Swarm Hosts. So I'm letting them just siege up right now, but in a second, I'm going to start moving them.
And reinforcing with more Hydras.
Yeah, and more Swarm Hosts. I really want to get about 13 to 16 or so, and you see I'm at 13, so, well, I will be once these 5 pop out.
Right.
I am a little supply cap. Doesn't matter. I'm at max supply, but he's got these 2 phoenixes to just go around and kill overlords, and that's really annoying. And so here I'm getting ready to run. I'm using those locusts to actually cover my retreat, which is how you have to use swarm hosts. If they are not ready to spawn locusts, most times they should not actually be in the ground.
That's actually a very valid point.
And I don't know what these hydralisks are doing. I think they actually got somehow they got mixed in with the swarm hosts, and they went with the rally point, and so they're whatever.
They were trying to show the locusts how it's done.
Yeah, they were like, "Here, Locust, I'm going to show you how to attack at point blank range," and then they died. And these 2 phoenixes getting another overlord. I think that's 3. Yeah, they get 3, but at this point, I'm not really worried about it. I have a spore at my main, and I don't think it's gonna. I really think that I didn't need it. It was kind of wasted, but
yeah. It's basically the same way that Terrans are using just that one Viking right now to go around and murder overlords.
Yeah, it's really annoying. I think more Terrans should do that. But with Terran, they're going to have the starport anyway. But
yeah, exactly.
As opposed to having to drop money on the Stargate. But here, this engagement could have gone better for me. I should have actually backed up a swarm host when the fight started, but I was afraid that they were going to die. But I ended up killing the observers because I have these overseers, which ends up saving me because you can see he spawned some hallucinated colossi. Which, if I didn't have this, I would probably be really afraid, thinking where all these colossi come from, or just not even knowing which ones are which.
Yeah.
But because I have that, I'm able to actually focus fire down the weakening ones as my hydralisks die. I sacrifice my hydralisks to kind of dwindle this count because I was maxed anyway. I have a pretty large bank, so I know I'm going to be able to remax fairly quickly. And you can see there, I'm actually, while getting my 3/3 upgrades, I'm actually getting 18 more hydralisks here. And I don't think I lost, I think 3 swarm hosts maybe. I'm still at 10. I do lose this base. I wasn't that concerned about it because I only had a couple of drones there. And I actually sacrificed these hydralisks to take out the last colossi because I want these locusts to be able to get in here and do as much damage as possible.
Oh yeah, that's definitely going to force him back.
Yeah, he has to back up at this point. Now he's actually 1 base ahead of me at this point because he killed that 4th. And typically, if something like that happens, you just die.
Yeah.
But you see here, I actually get it together and start using my swarm host like I'm supposed to be. I'm still spawning more hydralisks to cover them, but these locusts come in, and you'll actually watch that I will come in directly behind the locusts. I'll let the locusts go ahead and start attacking, start forcing him back, and then my hydralisks, which can shoot, farther because they're range 6 instead of just the 2. I'm going here to clean up the proxy pylon. I get like an Archon. I get a couple of stalkers.
Basically for free.
Yeah, it's all for free. It doesn't cost me anything, and these swarm hosts moved forward while that was happening, so I can actually push in again while I have the locusts. And that's how you have to use them. You send the locusts in, let them just kind of either push the army back or take the first shots from the colossi or whatever. And then in here, my locusts are dead, so I will actually back up. Now, some of these guys died because pathing, but then the locusts come in, and then I swing right back around in. And I'm actually going to move my swarm host back because I know that I'm not going to force that, and I'm going to have to back up. So I'm trying to move them into a better position while also waiting for 3 more to pop out. So
that's very good.
I go ahead and drop them, send some more in. Meanwhile, I've actually run some Zerglings into his main base. And they didn't really do a whole lot, I don't think. I think they killed his, the probes that were mining on his gas, but here, once again, you see I send the locusts in, I push in while he's running. If he were to turn around, I'll back up immediately until these more locusts come in. I'm retaking my top expansion, and he's actually taking a 5th. So he's taking a 5th while I'm on 4 bases. So this is essentially going to be a 5-base Protoss versus a 4-base Zerg, which is a bad day for the Zerg. But that's actually the power of the Swarm Host, is it lets you fight at even bases, maybe a little bit behind, because I'm not going to be, because I'm going to see that he's taking another base, and I know that I do have to either kill it or I do have to take another one. You can see that I am taking another one because I don't actually see that he has that one, but I can see some cannons down there for his 4th, so I want to go ahead and take a 5th.
Right.
I am getting melee upgrades, and I'm getting these overseers because I want to kill his obs. I don't want them to be able to see my swarm host. It doesn't matter that much, but I would still rather just him not know exactly where they are.
Every little bit helps,
Yeah.
especially when it's a positioning battle.
Yeah, this battle is a lot of back and forth positioning, flanking. As far as the Zerg is concerned, anyway.
Yeah.
Is the Protoss just doesn't really want to engage the Locust, but it's really hard because once they have the Enduring Locust upgrade, they just go forever. They have the longest effective range of any unit at that point.
Absolutely true.
So now these Locusts are going to see that he actually has a 5th base, and that's not so good.
But they're going to be able to get in there and do at least some significant damage to this Nexus.
Yeah, well, they kill all the probes, but then a fight starts, and I have to re-rally my Locust down to the actual fight. And I'm trying to get behind them, but they're blocking, and so I lose some Hydras. But then once they're actually in the front, I can let them attack, let my Hydras attack, and use them to cover for my Swarm Host as they back up. And meanwhile, I'm getting +1 melee. I've actually gotten both an Ultralisk Cavern and a Greater Spire.
Very nice.
So my plan is, and actually right here I crush his army. He's got some really good storms, but his obs kind of moved out of position and he got pinched between my Hydralisks and my Locusts, so he ended up losing pretty much everything. Yeah, I think a Stalker got out and maybe a Colossus.
That was a fairly critical point in the entire match, really, right there.
It was really, I mean, it really could have gone either way. His storms were very good. That's one way that you can actually kill the swarm host, is just storm them.
Yeah.
If they come up out of the ground, they die. If they stay where they're at, they die. So, but because I freed up all that supply from those Hydras that got stormed, I'm actually making 7 Ultralisks while getting my Chitinous plating behind it. He's just now, he's getting his shields upgrade. I think he's had Archons, so he's getting some more High Templar for just that purpose, and some more storms, I'm guessing. Or he may just morph them all. I actually thought when I was playing that these Locusts were rallied into this base. So that's why they're just sitting here not doing anything. And then I noticed and I was like, oh, wait, they're not doing anything. They could have been doing free damage this whole time.
Yep.
Now, I don't think he has an OBS here.
He must not have.
Yeah, he doesn't even have one at all. I think I killed it. So, because of that, I'm actually okay with engaging here. Now, I will lose a lot of Swarm Host to splash damage, which is not so good. But he's going to lose a lot of stuff to the Ultralisk standing on top of them.
Yep. Absolutely. They do a ton of damage now, too.
Yeah, I mean, I really love that upgrade. Ultralisks are probably my second favorite Zerg unit. So I'm really excited now that I get to use an Ultra Hydra combo.
Yes.
If I can find an excuse to use it, I will. I will use it in every matchup if I can. It doesn't usually work out that way, but at least in ZvP it does. So he's pushing over here. I had 2 Swarm Hosts survive, and I'm actually having them shut down this 5th base. Because I don't really think... I mean, they would help over here, but I really want that base to not be there, so...
Yeah, exactly.
Plus, I've got a lot of Zerglings spawning. I was kind of low on gas, so I had to make Zerglings just to kind of save me at this point. I mean, I don't really understand that aggressive blink that he just did. I think it was to try and cover for his Colossi so he could kill my units, but he should have known that the Stalker was going to die to the Ultralisks, so...
Those massive claws, man, you just can't handle it. The giant red lobsters.
Kaiser Blades are kind of good. And see, he actually still doesn't realize that I'm killing all of his stuff over here.
He keeps rallying more and more probes over there. I didn't realize that.
Yeah, one Swarm Host has 8 kills, the other one has 6. 7 now. So it shut him down. He's not mining over there. And I'm able to actually pin his Stalkers into the wall, which the Zerglings die, whatever, it's fine. And even the Ultralisks can't really do anything. That's all okay because the Hydralisks are doing so much damage. So much so that these Zealots can't even kill them. And I was actually going to move up into that base and try to kill it, but then he warped in some more units, and then he just GG'd from there.
And he has to, because there's nothing he can do. Nothing you can do against that Ultra and the Hydra combo. That is deadly.
Yeah, it's actually my favorite combo at this point. It's a little weak to kiting, so it's not as good against Terran.
Right.
But the only real unit that the Protoss have to kite with are the Stalkers. I mean, they can do it to an extent with the Colossi, but not really by themselves.
And
and
eventually they'll get caught.
yeah, eventually the Ultralisks will run them down because the Ultralisks aren't stopping to shoot. So, and they don't really deal that much damage to Ultralisks with their 6 armor.
The
So,
beasts.
yeah.
So man, that
So
was a good game. I really enjoyed that.
I really enjoyed playing it. I really wish that I had macroed a little bit harder that game, but other than that, it was fun to play. It was very back and forth. There were definitely a couple of moments where I thought like I'm dead. I'm dead at this point in the game. When he moved in, when I actually had to retreat, and he moved in with all those stalkers, and then took out my fourth base. I thought that he was just gonna kind of run into my base and kill me, which he may have been able to do, but he probably if he didn't do it, he would have lost his whole army. But if he did do it, I would have died. So I thought that I was dead there, and when like just went mass Zerglings right there towards the end, I was sweating it a little bit because I mean that's the only reason I made all those Zerglings instead of
Right.
just waiting for the gas to make Hydralisks or more Ultralisk or something. So
It was definitely really close. The income was so close the entire game. It really did come down to the positioning and the ability for the swarm host to be so cost efficient against his units.
yeah, it's actually stupid how good they are. As long as you learn to use them. A lot of people they'll just let them sit there and just spawn and spawn, and you can't do that. You burrow them, rally, let them spawn their locusts, pick them up, and move them to another location. You don't want the enemy to know where they are, and you don't want them to have to unburrow to run away. You want them to just be able to run if they need to,
Hmm.
or to reposition themselves.
That's something that I'm definitely going to start working on. And any aspiring Zerg players out there, definitely take heed and learn that little bit of micro. It's not very hard to do. You just gotta actually do it.
Yeah, it's actually really easy. All you can actually queue the burrow command, so you can just hold down Shift and tell them to walk over here and press R for burrow, obviously, and
Hmm.
then they will run over there. And then once they get there, they'll burrow into the ground. So just make sure to not set their rally point before they're all burrowed, or some of them will run to their deaths because swarm hosts are not smart. They're kind of like the dragoons from StarCraft One. They're not very smart. They just will kind of wobble around and then die. But I would definitely say anyone from high silver, even maybe some really good bronze players, but definitely high silver or so, you should be able to micro swarm host without a problem. And they're just such a good unit that it'll just help you blast through Protoss. And quite honestly, they're actually even really good against Sky Toss. Which
Really?
you wouldn't think that they would be, but because the composition is usually swarm hosts with hydralisks on top of them,
Hmm.
it protects them from air units, and you can just kind of run in and kill stuff. The locusts will still run in and kill things, and then if they try to engage you, your hydralisks just tear them apart while you run. You use the locusts the same way. Use them for cover.
Hmm.
The phoenixes can't get in there to lift them because hydralisks will kill them. The only real option that they have at that point are void rays. And unless they have a critical mass of void rays, which means they're on like 4 or 5 bases and it's way late game, it's not going to matter. So the locusts, the other part of that army, the Colossus Templar, kind of part of the Skytoss army,
Right.
they don't do very well against the locusts. So the locusts will still kill them while the hydralisks can deal with the flying units. You just have to be a little bit more patient with it. It's a much more slow, like inch forward, kind of like Terran siege line where they're leapfrogging the tanks. It's a little bit slower of a game, but it is definitely doable.
Yeah, I've also seen another way that people do it. I think I've seen like TLO, mainly it was TLO, doing it by getting a Nidus worm and then using queens to spread creep around his siege
Yeah,
area and then planting spores down.
yeah. That's another popular way to do it. Once they get up to where they have like tempests,
Hmm.
is using the static defense. Now, I don't actually like using static defense as part of my army.
Yeah.
And you had to kind of in Wings of Liberty, but I don't like it. So I always try to find something else to do, even if it's something like making like 20 mutalisks. Once I'm floating a bunch of resources, if I lose some, and instead of remaxing on whatever I had, I'll just make like 20 mutalisks and just go fly in their base and just start killing tech structures. It's actually absurd how few Protoss are prepared for that. you can just outright kill them. I've done it to a handful of pros. You can't do it every game, but there's a lot of times there's an opening. If you lose some units, like a bunch of Hydralisks or whatever, you can just make Mutalisks and just go kill them. Just ignore the army. The army is slow. It's kind of like fighting meching Terran. The army is really slow. You just go where the army is not.
Yeah, that's a good point. I think that, you know, really that's going to kind of become the metagame for a lot of builds. Even, you know, new builds that are going to come out will utilize them. You know, maybe not as much, but at least some, because they're so good at laying siege. You know, even in the mid to late game, you can use, like you did in this one, use just a couple of them to lay siege to a base off away from the main focal point of the match.
Yeah, and they actually killed that base.
Yeah, exactly.
They killed every worker that went there, and then they eventually killed the base itself. And if he'd actually moved to try and get rid of it, I could just have picked up the swarm host and ran him away.
Absolutely. I mean, together they have 24 kills.
Yeah, yeah. I killed like 31 workers, and most of them were from those 2 swarm hosts, which is actually crazy.
It's pretty interesting, you know, and I'm really excited to see the new ways that they'll be utilized.
Yeah, they're really good. It's one of my new favorite units. I mean, they're still. It's probably like my 3rd favorite unit now. I mean, Hydralisk, Ultralisk, Swarm Host.
Yeah.
I don't know. I really like the Viper as well, but Viper's a little bit harder to use.
They really are. I have a lot of trouble trying to utilize them myself.
It's part of the problem with the Viper is knowing when to Blinding Cloud and when to abduct.
Right.
That's a big thing that a lot of people have an issue with. Is they'll go in and they'll Blinding Cloud, and then they'll units just move out and then they die. Or you're going in and you abduct, and now you've got really dangerous things in the middle of your army killing it. It's generally, although not always, but as a rule of thumb, Blinding Cloud against Terran, abduct against Protoss. That's
that's what I've seen a lot too, because, you know, when you're playing against Terran, if they have the tanks, Blinding Cloud is, you know, just the best against them because they can't move while they're sieged.
Right. It forces them to either unsiege the tanks, in which case they're not shooting, or stand there and not shoot, in which case they're not shooting. So either way, they're not shooting, and you just get to run through them, which is nice. With Abduct, with Protoss, you can whip in the Colossi or Void Rays or Tempests, whatever. Or I've seen people do it. You can do it to High Templar. It's a bit harder because the High Templar can feed back the Vipers.
Mm-hmm.
But at lower levels of play, you can definitely do it. If you're better than your opponent, you can do it. But it's generally just not worth the risk, honestly.
Yeah, it's going to be really, really cool to see, you know, some of the new tactics used, especially from the higher level players in the tournaments that are coming out now with HOTS. So really looking forward to all that. Before we wrap this up, do you have anything else that you'd like to add?
Not that I can really think of. I'm excited too to see what players like TLO and Stefano and Life and Scarlet all do, because a lot of them, even if, like with TLO, he's not the best when it comes to pro games. He's really, I mean, don't get me wrong, he's really good. He's better than me. He would beat me with nothing but drones, like, and I wouldn't stand a chance. I have, you know, no illusions about that whatsoever. But, you know, he's not winning like the GSL, obviously.
Right.
But he does a lot of innovation with whatever race he plays, because as I'm sure you know, he's swapped races quite a lot.
Yeah.
But he always comes up with something new and interesting. So, and I like seeing what he does and how other players will pick it up. And I mean, Stefano's just good. He and Scarlet, I think, are probably the 2 best foreigner Zergs. And at least with Stefano, I haven't watched Scarlet a lot recently, but at least with Stefano, he tries to do things that are just different. Like he's doing like Roach Hydra and ZvZ, which is cool because I like that better than doing Mass Mutalisk. But
yeah, it's I haven't actually seen him go that route, but I know that he doesn't like playing Mutas, so I'm sure he'll find something to get around it.
I actually love playing with Mutalisks, just not in Zerg versus Zerg. I hate it in Zerg versus Zerg.
It's not fun.
It really isn't. I hate that matchup, honestly. I didn't used to. In Wings of Liberty, I didn't have a problem with it, but I'm slowly starting to hate it just because there is no other match that can shift on a dime so easily.
It is
Protoss
definitely
versus
knife edge.
Protoss, yeah, Protoss versus Protoss is really volatile, and there's a lot of back and forth and fighting, but it's not like a zealot walks into your army and you lose your entire army because of it. Like one rogue baneling that either you miscontrol your zergling. It actually happened to me earlier today. I lost so many zerglings to a baneling, and I just died. And I mean,
Yeah,
yeah, you should have better micro, but sometimes it just happens, and you just lose because of it. And yeah,
yeah, it's definitely true. I've experienced it several times myself as well, and it's not fun to play. So hopefully that'll get, either something will come out in the metagame to fix it, or Blizzard themselves will do something to fix that matchup.
yeah. I'm gonna watch some Stefano, and hopefully he'll show me the way. I
Yeah,
can always hope, right?
absolutely. That's what we do. We hope, we learn, and then we play better.
Yeah. Well, I hope you enjoyed the game.
Absolutely.
You
I
had fun
enjoyed it. I
watching
know
it.
I did.
I had fun playing it. I had fun being a guest. It was exciting.
We certainly appreciate it. I do. Um, and hopefully, we can do this a little more often. We get several replays from you, and I appreciate that. And I'd love to have you back as a guest because, one, you know more than me, and two, it's really cool to see the thought process behind the way a player plays. So that's always really cool.
I agree. That actually helps me with learning is understand the thought process, the why behind, instead
Exactly.
of just doing it. So hopefully I helped someone improve their game, even if it was just a little bit.
Well, that's what we're here for. So again, thank you, man. I really appreciate everything that you've done so far, and hopefully we'll have you back again very soon. Until then, ladies and gentlemen, be awesome, keep watching, and we'll have more stuff for you. So, thank you. This has been GamerGenusTV with Archon and me, and we are out.